Round one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I roll?
I'll go first. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck to you too.
Oh darn, I bricked.
Tough break. You know what? Why don't you take a draw on me?
What?
No,
I
I
don't think that's
insist. It's
legal.
fine. I won't tell.
You're playing Hecahands, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm playing Hecahands. Good afternoon, jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-minute testing. Feels weird to just upload again after yesterday. Like, hey, here's this crazy video. And now back to the series I've been doing for a decade. Anyway, Phantom Revengers is out this week, or at least was supposed to be out this week. So thus begins our dive into decks doomed to die in Tier 2. Presenting Hecahands.
Ooh, hecky, no, that boy is raw.
So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Despite what some Yu-Gi-Tubers who shall not be named would have you believe, the TCG is alive and well. And if you're looking to start your journey into paper, there's no better place to begin than Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. With up-to-the-minute reporting on every major tournament worldwide, searchable and interactable pie charts and deck lists, and all the bells and whistles you've come to expect from one of the best draft and collection management sites on the net, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the place to be. Check it out today at www.ygoprodeck.com. Now back to the video. With that, let's get our mitts on Hecahands. Hecahands are a really interesting series of illusion monsters. They're a fusion archetype that's equal part angels and a comical amount of limbs. Now I know what you're thinking. This is literally just the exact same design principle as the Despia monsters, but slow your roll! Unlike the Despia monsters, these are bad. The Hecahands care about the actions your opponent takes and the cards they add to their grip. Their gimmick is that they grab the monsters from the top of their deck, from their graveyard, from their field, stealing anything they negate. The downside is, since they rely on an opponent's setup, if you're going first, your opponent hasn't set up. What's more, once they sniff out your on hands, they'll play as best they can through your admittedly telegraphed cards. But all is not lost. Instead of chalking these up as reasons why Hecahands isn't a playable deck, let's instead conceptualize them as an engine in something else. Beansmith Chimera is close enough to playable at present, and Hecahands does some pretty amazing stuff for that engine. It's enough material to make their monsters, they plus when they're sent to the graveyard for said fusions, and they buttress Chimera's low-ceiling boards with counter traps, adding a diversity of interaction to a deck that's otherwise mostly monster effects. Finally, Goddess gives you something to do turn 0 on the draw, so it's a perfect match. Probably. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, the Hecahands. All these cards have that illusion effect that they've sometimes decided is part of the typing's core identity, but we'll skip it for the time being. Yadel says you can reveal this card in your hand to shuffle it into the deck, then add a Hecahands spell trap from your deck to your hand, and if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target a Hecahands spell trap in your graveyard and set it. Ibel says you can reveal this card in your hand to shuffle it into the deck, then special summon a Hecahands from your deck in defense position, except Ibel. And if sent to the graveyard, you can target a Hecahands monster in your graveyard, except for Ibel, special summon it. And Gygas says if a card is added to your opponent's hand, except during the draw phase, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then during your main phase, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, special an excavated monster, then shuffle the rest back into the deck. Of course, the spell that we will be adding off of this suite is the Hecahands. When activated, you can send another card you control to the graveyard. You can add a Hecahands from your deck to your hand. Then if you send that card to the graveyard at activation, you can also set a Hecahands spell trap from your deck, except this. Now, the issue with Hecahands is frequently your opponent will just have not set up on their first turn, but you can resolve it with the second effect of this card, which allows you to banish it from your graveyard. Your opponent draws a card, then discards a card. Wham bam, they've got something in the graveyard. We're also playing one apiece of these trap cards. First up, Ipt al Hecahands, which when your opponent activates a monster effect and you control Hecahands, negates it, destroys the monster, then special summons it to your field. And Yad al Hecahands, which when your opponent activates a spell trap card and you control a Hecahands, negate the activation. If you do destroy the card, then you can set it to your field. These are fantastic as part of the Chimera end board. That board was already layered, but really lacked the ability to 1, close the chain, and 2, interact with specific typings of negation. In the extra, we've got one Hecahand, which kind of ties the whole thing together. Hecahand's Jawza can be made with a Hecahands and an illusion. You can fusion summon this, but you can also special summon it by tributing an illusion and a monster your opponent controls, or you control that is owned by your opponent, rather. During your main phase, you can add a Hecahands from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and of course, it's got the illusion effect as well. Let's talk about the CHIMERA cards. We've got 3 Nightmare Apprentice. This card searches an illusion, so despite the fact that it's full combo for CHIMERA, it's also full combo for Hecahands. Mirror Sword Knight is, of course, powerful as ever. Gazelle, the Mythical Beast of Claws. We've got 3 Codal, 2 Baphomet, and we are playing the Fiendsmith Evil Hero package that has become very popular in CHIMERA over the last couple of months. Evil Hero, Sinister Necrom, a Dusted Gold, and Fiendsmith Engraver. We're on 3 copies of CHIMERA Fusion, and then after that, non-engine, we've got 3 Nibiru the Primal Being, 3 Fuelos, 3 Ash Blossom, and 3 Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. Outside of the Hecahands fusion, in the extra deck, we've got Requiem, Masquerena, Sequence, SP Little Knight, DDD Wave High King Caesar, now that 6s are back on the menu, Typhon, Chaos Angel, CHIMERA, Baphomet, Fiendsmith's Lacrima, Magnum the Reliever, CHIMERA the Illusion Beast, Fiendsmith's Desiree, CHIMERA, and Jawza. In the side, we've got Harpy's Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, Triple Droll and Lockbird, Triple Meowls, Triple Retaliating Sea, and Triple Goddess. I know what you're thinking. Joseph, you're playing so few Hecahands in the main. Why not play Goddess in the main? Because Goddess is so powerful if you can get the effect off, and so nothing if you can't. If a card is added to your opponent's hand, except during the draw phase, you can special summon one card from your hand, this card from your hand, and then during your opponent's main phase, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, special to your field, but banish it when it leaves the field. This is an impressively powerful point of interaction, but again requires your opponent to be actively playing. Sure, you can set it up with Hecahands and then summon the worst monster in their grip from the grave, which is something, but it works much nicer paired alongside something like Droll and Lockbird. So we are playing it out of the board. It is going to be powerful there. You're just going to have to trust me when I say it probably shouldn't be in the main. Let's check out some games. Our first match is up against Gem Knight. I have a totally wrong understanding of the power level of this deck, courtesy of Master Duel, where it's actually pretty powerful. I just assume I'm going to lose anytime I'm staring down a Brilliant Fusion, but in TCG, this deck's only okay. We're going first, let me show you what this deck can do. We're going to begin with a copy of Kotal. We will add from deck to hand a copy of Baphomet, then normal summon a Mirror Sword Knight for a Gazelle, the King of Mythical Claws. That's going to trigger and add that Evil Hero from our deck to our hand. We're going to fire off this CHIMERA Fusion afterwards, and go into a Gazelle, triggering the effect of our Gazelle and our Baphomet as well. We'll bring back this copy of Mirror Sword Knight and grab ourselves a copy of Nightmare Apprentice, which we will then summon by pitching the Sinister Necrom, using its effect to get us into the Hecahands line. We'll add back that CHIMERA Fusion, then afterwards use the effect of the Sinister Necrom for the Adusted Gold, which we can link off into a Fiendsmith's Requiem as a Light Fiend. From here we can go into Engraver and then make a copy of Sequence. Sequence effect, we will make ourselves a copy of Lacrima, and then trigger the effect of the Creamer in order to bring back the Fiendsmith and overlay for an extremely powerful rank 6 you all know and love. We'll go for the Ebel afterwards in order to bring out Gigas. We'll activate the Gigas effect. We'll look at the top 3 cards of our opponent's deck. Let's go ahead and take that Gem Armadillo on our way to a Jawza. We'll activate the effect of the Jawza, get ourselves a copy of Hecahands, that Hecahands effect, sending the Sequence in order to set a copy of our first counter trap. Down comes Yadel afterwards. For the second counter trap, we'll set 2 and rip a card out of our opponent's hand. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Lightning Storm, calling spell traps. That is worth a Yadel here. We will go ahead and take that as well. We'll go Mirror Sword Knight afterwards because we're in the main phase. We'll go for Big Winged Baphomet. That's going to get us the material to turn on the CHIMERA Fusion. And then they're going to go for a Hollow Core, sending a copy of Fusion to the graveyard. Normal summon a Gem Armadillo. That is worth an Ipt All. We're just going to try and keep them off of everything here. And while they do have a Forbidden Droplet to contest the Caesar followed by a Brilliant Fusion, there's not too far they can get here. As they go for Master Diamond, they're going to grab back this Neparim. We will bell the Master Diamond, and I think that is all she wrote. Pretty simple game state there. We had more points of interaction than they had cards that needed to be answered. That's how the deck performs on the play. But what does it do on the draw? For game 2, we're playing against Blue Eyes Primite, an old favorite, here on 45 cards and going first. They're going to begin with Sage with Eyes of Blue, and you can see we have opened no points of interaction from the grip. Unfortunately, while we do have a 1-card combo, we've also got 3 cards we don't want to draw as part of our mainline combo here either. They're going to go Spirit into Mausoleum, trigger the effect of the Mausoleum, targeting the Spirit, send a copy of Blue Eyes to the graveyard, then Spirit effect to bring back the Blue Eyes, which of course triggers the Maiden in White in graveyard. From here, they can make a Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon and pass. A pretty low ceiling board, but you can see they've got 3 hand traps. We're going to begin with Hecahands, which is susceptible to Dominus Purge. Okay, we drew a pretty good card off the top in Nightmare Apprentice. They're going to go for an Effect Veiler, chaining the effect of their own Spirit Dragon to go into Ultimate Spirit Dragon here as well. We can go Ebel, use the effect to get a copy of Gigass, and they will go Majesty in order to, unfortunately, just totally wipe our board. We can go Necrom here in order to get into the Fiendsmith line. We'll go a Dusted Gold into Requiem, trigger the effect of the Requiem, but that just fiends out the Ultimate Spirit Dragon. Finally, we'll go for the Mirror Sword Knight, use the effect to grab a copy of Gazelle, and that loses to the Veiler. We were really close, but unfortunately that pretty much will do it. We can make Typhon here. They will activate the effect of the True Light in order to set a copy of Wishes for Eyes of Blue. I don't know how we're going to beat that on the next turn, but we're going to find out together. We'll pass turn. Our opponent's going to draw 4 turn. It's an Ash Blossom. They'll fire off this Wishes with Eyes for Blue, sending a Blue Eyes White Dragon, and then going for Ultimate Fusion. Please don't let me lose to a deck like this. Down comes Tyrant Dragon, will trigger the effect of the True Light in order to bring back a Blue Eyes White Dragon, trigger the effect of the Maiden in White because one was summoned, trigger the effect of Wishes in order to equip the Blue Eyes and go to the battle phase, dealing 500, triggering the effect of the Tyrant to reset the Dominus Purge, at which point we might as well just scoop it up. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Branded Dracotail, a really interesting deck from this current format. I like this a great deal. Just a lot of spell cards that you absolutely must negate or you're going to die. Unfortunately, our grip is not fantastic, and our opponent has one of the very few cards that still totally slaughters this deck. Let's see what we can get done. We're going to begin with a copy of Ebel. That Ebel's going to grab a Gigass. We will normal summon the Gazelle, the King of Mythical Claws, get us access to Chimera Fusion, at which point our opponent will draw in Lockbird. That's frustrating. Okay, we'll go Gigass, look at the top of the deck. Let's take our opponent's Droll and Lockbird, and then we can link off for an IP Masquerena. We'll go Fusion here in order to make a Baphomet. We'll trigger the effect of the Baphomet in order to send a Sinister Necrom, then Chimera Fusion into a Ghost Bell. No, I needed that. Okay, fine. We'll go Sinister Necrom in order to get a copy of a Dusted Gold to our side of the field. We'll link off for a Requiem, activate the Requiem effect, and grab ourselves a Fiendsmith Engraver. We can overlay for a Wave High King Caesar and pass our turn. Our opponent draws, and they will begin with a copy of Lucius. Lucius triggers here. They are going to go ahead and add an Urgula to hand. They will contest our IP Masquerena using the battle phase. We will negate their Ketu with our DDD Wave High King Caesar. We'll negate their Phimena with our DDD Wave High King Caesar, and then unfortunately afterwards they can King of the Swamp in order to grab a Polymerization and do it the hard way. Polymerization these 2 to the graveyard for Arthalion. That's going to trigger Urgula and Lucius and Arthalion to get back the Phimena. I don't see how we're going to be able to do this. Resetting the Rahu here alongside a copy of Sting. Rahu is going to be able to fusion summon out a Gulamel, triggering the effect of the Phimena and a Pan from deck in order to set a Flame. We are really in for it. They will set a Ketu as well before activating the Urgula in order to cycle back the Phimena, and then firing the Ketu in order to grab a copy of Pan. They will pass turn, we'll draw. I mean, our hand is okay, but not going to be able to make it work. Sting is a direct counter to both the Chimera Fusion and the Fiendsmith and Graveyard. We can go for a Nightmare Apprentice and an Ebel activation here, but they can Phimena in response in order to make another Arthalion. We will bring out our Gigass, and we will add a Mirror Sword Knight, but they can go Arthalion and activate the effect of the Pawn in Graveyard as well, setting a Rahu and popping our Gigass. Okay. So it's time for game 2, and this time we are going first. Our opponent has an Ash Blossom, but we have a couple of cards that require an Ash. We'll begin with the Ebel. Ebel here is going to get a Gigass from deck. We'll activate the effect of the Gigass, look at the top 3 cards of the deck, and I guess we'll take Labubu. After that, we can go ahead and fusion summon out a Jowza, activating its effect for the counter trap before firing off a Hecahands into an Ash Blossom. Haha, gotcha, bitch! We'll normal summon a copy of Mirror Sword Knight, activate the effect in order to grab Big Winged Baphomet, then activate Baphomet's effect in order to grab both a Gazelle and a Chimera Fusion. We will activate that. They will activate Magnamon. We will Ghost Bell that as well. We are going to go into a copy of Gazelle, trigger the effect of the Baphomet, trigger the effect of the Gazelle, trigger the effect of the Chimera, and that's going to net us a Nightmare Apprentice in the other half of our engine. We will add back our Chimera Fusion before going for Nightmare Apprentice, activating its effect in order to grab a Yadel. Yadel here will go ahead and grab us the other counter trap, which we'll set alongside our Chimera Fusion before getting the Rahu. Oh boy! Our opponent's going to go for King of the Swamp. We will Mirror Sword Knight here in order to grab a Big Winged Baphomet. That's going to net us the necessary material to stop their plays. We will grab a Chimera Fusion and a Gazelle. We'll go for Yad All into the Polymerization, at which point we will take it. They'll go Magnamon afterwards, which is fine from this position. They'll activate Magnamon. We will activate Ipt Al Hecahands here just to get it to our side of the field so they don't have fusion material. Then we'll activate it because we have targets as well. We'll go for Chimera Fusion for Guardian Chimera, blow up their entire board at the end of the main phase, grab a Cottle for next turn, and feel pretty fine about our situation. They'll scoop it up. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and God, I mean, what do you say about branded fusion, Ketu? Okay. Our opponent's going to begin with a branded fusion. We will chain Fulos into an Ash Blossom. All right, okay. Looks like this Ghost Bell is going to have to do a lot of work. They're going to go for Albion here. Albion 1, Frixel 2. They will set a copy of Rahu, and they'll fusion summon out a copy of Dragoon! Oh, no! All right, here comes Ketu into Lucius. Trigger the effect of the Lucius. That will grab them a Phimina. They'll activate Rahu effect in order to send everything for an Arthalion, then Arthalion in order to target everything they sent, and Pan effect, and Urgula effect in order to set a Sting, and probably a copy of Flame as well. Afterwards, they will get the Horn and everything back to grip. Phimina hasn't triggered yet, so they'll do that for Sectarion. I guess we can't summon spellcasters. And then they will go ahead and try and activate the effect to add back the Phimina, which thankfully we can stop, which is a cold comfort because they still have the opportunity to Frix. Frix here can summon back the Phimina and then bounce it to hand, meaning they still have access to that quick fusion. Oh, geez. Set Fall into the Virtuous at end step. I don't know what we're doing here. We'll begin with Nightmare Apprentice. We'll activate the effect in order to grab a copy of Ebel. We'll trigger the effect of the Ebel for a Gigas. We'll activate the Gigas effect into Fallen in the Virtuous. Okay, well, goodbye, Gigas. We will normal summon a Mirror Sword Knight, activate the effect into Dragoon. Okay, well, we still have Hecahands. We'll activate that into a Flame. Well, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! For you, baby. Oh, boy. So we're back with the deck, and what can I say? Sometimes you get out-fusioned. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The Hecahands cards slot perfectly into Chimera. They don't use your normal summon, they're illusion type, so you can search them and use them as material. Some have graveyard effects when they're used as fusions, so you still get to plus, and they add to the board without clogging the monster zones too heavily. 2, the engine offers counter traps to Chimera, which it really didn't have access to before. This gives the deck an unbelievable ceiling, often ending on multiple negates plus draws with cards in hand, and reinforces the board against breakers. And 3, the deck has an archetypal hand trap in Goddess, who can act as graveyard hate with a quick effect summon from your opponent's graveyard. And the cons. 1, the engine is a little bricky. Alongside the Fiendsmith one-ofs, you're now also running 2 one-card counter traps that do nothing without a Hecahand. While Yadel can get you 2 engine, she lowers the ceiling by 1 counter trap if you use her to get started. 2, the engine doesn't really help the deck against everything. Droll and Shifter primarily, 2 of the deck's biggest weaknesses, do not get resolved by these cards. It kind of seems like a splash should shore up these critical weaknesses, and passing to Droll still sure feels bad. And 3, Goddess requires your opponent to have added a card, so sometimes he can be dead in hand, even going second, until your opponent passes a point where Graveyard Interruption would actually matter. Overall, Hecahands seems like a solid, easily splashable engine for any deck that currently runs illusion monsters. To be honest, it could even be a consideration for any deck that wants the extra counter trap protection for a medium-sized card investment. I just don't think it's going to be playable on its own. Thanks so much for watching. These videos are made possible by, and sometimes suggested by, my patrons, some of whom have paid a hefty sum in order to be mentioned at the end of this video. Those individuals are Absolutely Fran, Elena Tincher, Allison Elliott, Ally, APK Pearly Tier 0, Brett Henry, Cap, Cool Name, Damon O'Neill, Dark Rebel XYZ, DJ Elefante, El Gravo, El Securt, Emiliano Deverio, NB Adams, Fabrizio Petroli, Franco Romero, Galactic Joey, Hergalicious, JP, Night Mary, Cole Offline, Corey Mizu, Legal Rights, Lucas Rosas, Luis Hernandez, Master Key 090, Matthew M. Derezo, MBT Hablando en Español, MBT Plema Dolce, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Nancho, Pombo, Project Mercury, Pyramid Artisan Field Cloths, TCG Accessories, Rancer My Thing, Rohan Doge, Rose Lapine, Serpentax, Shifter.mp8, Sly Ninja 43, Troy Says By Erasure is Gay, Who's Nick, Yuki Kazami, and Zircon Sun. Couldn't have done it without you.